You're watching the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand.
Salah to settle it in front of the Kop.
Hey guys, good afternoon. Welcome back to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand, as you know. Welcome along to our match preview. Liverpool at home this Sunday, 2 o'clock kickoff to the Bees. Brentford, a very good team that have, demanded a lot of respect and praise since they've joined the Premier League. I think they're firmly established now. But to join me on this match preview, obviously we had to get a B, and it's the only B I know. And it's Billy Grant, Brentford Bees. How are you, my friend? Billy the Bee, great to have you on, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having us on your podcast as well, which is all good. Like I said to you, I always sort of smile when I come on these podcasts because it means that Brentford are still here. We're still in the Premier League, So I appreciate coming on, having a little chat about football. We all love football here as well. So listen, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. And do you know what? I have to get it, as I just said there, in terms of being a firmly established Premier League team now, I would say that you 100% are. And maybe that takes a season or two for people to really appreciate it. But going back to when I first saw you, which was on a box-to-box with Turkish, I think it was your first Premier League game, talk to me about how brilliant, I guess, it's been being in the Premier League and also, being part of something that looks like it's definitely here to stay.
Yeah, I mean, again, first of all, I'll say we never rest on our laurels. I'm a Brentford fan. We've been going there for 40 years, home and away, literally everywhere. Your Grimsby's, your Scunthorpes, your Wrexhams. It's funny. You talk about Wrexham and they're Hollywood people now, but we went to Wrexham back in the day. I remember drinking at a pub in Wrexham. And I'll tell a little story, a little diversification, but this diversification. And we used to go to away games, and to be honest, because the football was so bad, after time you didn't even want to go to the game. So I remember us going to Wrexham, and we sat in the pub, and they were really friendly. It was this pub down the high street. You could check it out; it's still there, and it's got a thatched roof. So you're down the high street, this pub in the middle with this thatched roof. So we've all turned up in the pub really early, about 11 or 12 o'clock. We were sitting there, and all the locals really friendly with us. And there's this one guy inside the pub, older guy, and he was getting absolutely mashed. He was getting hammered. He's getting really, really, and we were like thinking, "God, this guy, he better watch himself." Right? Anyway, I went outside to go make a phone call because there's no sort of service inside the pub itself, and this is like in the middle of the high street, thatched pub. And the guy comes and walks out. Right? He walks out the pub. He turns around, and there's this horse parked outside the pub on the high street. The guy gets on the horse. And he rides off, who's hammered, and he rides off home. And I'm thinking, I've never seen this. I'm going to a football match. I'm in a thatched roof pub in the middle of the high street with a horse outside, and the guy's completely hammered, gets on the horse and drives off home. So all these little stories I remember from my days in the lower league, and I love it. So just coming back to that, I'll never rest on our laurels. But that, like I said, that first game against Arsenal, didn't expect to beat them. I'll be honest with you. We thought we were going to do. All of a sudden, that kind of opened up a whole new world for us. And since that, it's our third season now in the Premier League. We've had some great times. We've had some great laughs. Beating Chelsea again for the third time at Stamford Bridge a couple of weeks ago was great. Beating Man United 4-0 at our place was great. Even beating you last season. Got a lot of respect for Liverpool. So I'm not saying it in a disrespectful way, but beating you last year was actually great. But even before that, when we played you, we drew 3-3 with you the season before. That was one of my favourite games that we've played. So for me, I'm just enjoying the football. I'm enjoying being in the Premier League. I do miss the lower leagues. I do miss the fans in the lower leagues, your Prestons and your Boroughs and, all these. I really do. Because, there's some great fans down there who they're not there for the glory, mate. They're there for the football. So I do that. But at the same time, I'm also enjoying being in the Premier League. It's been a good journey.
No, listen, I echo everything you've said. I think there's definitely an allure to be in and around the lower leagues, but then to get out of them and be in the big time, like you said, you don't forget them days with the horses in Wrexham. You do not forget them days. So listen, as someone who isn't a Brentford fan, looking from the outside, it's incredible to see what you guys have done, how much credit you deserve, the players that you've absolutely squeezed the maximum out of, without really breaking the bank, the new stadium, the kind of the moral compass of the fans. I think you are literally one of the bright kind of shining lights in the Premier League right now. And as someone who isn't a Brentford fan, I hope you stay in the Premier League for a long, long time to go. So, yeah, as I said, big up to Brentford, man. Thomas Frank has done an incredible job. The fans have been behind him. And it's good to see a decent team in West London finally. You mentioned you smashed up Chelsea 3 times in a row. That's great. I mean, we haven't personally won at your place the 2 times we've been, as you said, 3-3 draw, and then a big defeat at probably the lowest point of Liverpool's season last year, I would say, in terms of, you know, we were on the back of massive away defeats to Wolves, Brentford, Brighton. And things weren't looking good, but we're in a different place now. I'm really looking forward to getting into this one. Little Gussie, as the Kop TV fans will know, is right next to me. Be quiet, Gus. Go to bed. Bed.
Yes, Gus is feeling. He's feeling the weekend's games to come. I could feel.
Mate, I don't know. He's being a bit of a bee in the bonnet at the minute. He's must be supporting Brentford this weekend. But Gus, bed now. Go to bed. Shout out to T-Boys TV, who says, Billy, what are your expectations for Brentford this season? We will answer this. We will get into the questions, but it's good to see you guys already locked in and appreciating the content that we've got for you today. Just from a Liverpool perspective, Bill, talking about how we approach this game. Jurgen Klopp did do a press conference this morning, and he said that Brentford are a super challenging team to play. Thomas Frank, for different reasons, they do really well. I'm not sure if they are 100% happy with the season, but losing Ivan Toney, that player he was for them, really is brutal, but they are stable in the table, and that's probably what Brentford want, getting through the situation, and then when he is coming back, using him again or whatever. It's well organised. We had a few problems in the season, I would say, to get used to the game without Ivan. But when you look at the table, they're in the middle with a tendency of going up. It's a well-organised, sensational set pieces, all these kind of things, really offensive players, really fast, counter-attacking, really good. They change styles from time to time. If they consider you as a top 6 team, then it's a bit more defensive. But if not, they have a bit more possession as well. It's always interesting to play them and difficult as well. But it is Anfield, and we should use that, he says. What do you make of Klopp's kind of glowing praise, really, of Brentford there?
Yeah, and I think respect to Klopp as well. I think, you know, for us, it's taken us, you know, years to get to where we are. And, you know, people never took us seriously. And even when we started to get the analytics in and people really did take the piss, I have to admit, press massively, absolutely tore us to pieces because of it. You know, we got rid of Mark Warburton at the time because he didn't believe in our future vision. So we were like, listen, everyone needs to be together on this. So we got rid of him. We got, you know, new managers in, which eventually was Dean Smith, who actually kind of took us to that, you know, into that new era. And so we have to move together like I said to you, as a team. So the club, the players, the staff, and all the fans, they get it as well. And we almost felt like we're fighting against the rest of the world a lot of the time because we're like, listen, we ain't got 50 million to spend on a player. You know what I'm saying? We got 2 million, like, you know what I'm saying? So we've got to do it a particular way. So it's worked for us now. And it's nice to see that people eventually have kind of got around to kind of, you know, not our way of thinking, but sort of tipping their hat to us in the way that we do things. It doesn't necessarily mean that everybody has to do things the same way. It's just that we're doing this our way because it's the best way for us. And for me, I mean, I like Klopp as a manager, you know, and I think for him to give us a praise as he's done like that, is good. I think Thomas Frank will probably he'd probably nod his head and go, that's great. But at the same time, he'll probably take 2 steps back thinking, hold on a second, he's giving us a little bit too much praise here. I need to watch that because I don't want to get our players to kind of get too comfortable here at all. But he is right, of course, because, you know, listen, you analyze games till the cows come home, you know, and anybody who's actually doing anything decent will do. And yes, we do change the way that we play according to the opposition. So that's why when you listen to some people going, oh, Brentford, they're a long ball team, or they're they throw the ball in the middle, long throws and kicking the ball. That's like, we might do that against particular sides because we're thinking this is the way that we're going to hurt them. But other teams, we might start passing the ball out. You know, when we were in the Championship, we used to have nearly 1,000 passes a game. You know what I'm saying? But then all of a sudden, to be more effective in the Premier League, we had to change our game slightly. You had players like Ivan Toney, so you went a little bit more direct in some games with him. You know, when we played you, the way that we beat you, not beat you, that we drew with you, I think the first time, and we were basically playing the balls down the wings, you know, and Trent Alexander, he had a torrid time against us trying to sort of compete against, you know, the Ivan Toneys and all the players of the world that were actually kind of doing that. But we realised this is how we're going to hurt them. We did the same thing to Arsenal as well when we beat them 2-0. We play them in a particular way because at the end of the day, we can't afford £100 million, £120 million for players. So that's kind of cool. So Klopp, like I said to you, I'm tipping my hat to him for recognising and giving us the props. But at the end of the day, we've got a big job to do on Sunday, because Liverpool they're a good team. You've got some good players. You've had a much better start than you did last season. You're sitting third in the table. You're looking at Man City up there, just thinking, hold on a second, all they need to do is drop a couple of points. Come on, Brentford, take some more points off them like you did last season, is what you're going to be saying to them.
100%,
You know what I'm saying? So we know that. So it's going to be a big job for us there. So he can give us as many props as possible, but then it doesn't really matter if you smacking 3 or 4 goals in past us, which could always happen.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, he's been super praiseful of Brentford's kind of rise and continuous rise, to the point where people are talking about them, maybe nicking a European spot, which I think I echo T-Boy's comment here. The fact that the recruitment has been class as well. You mentioned that there's not buckets of money available, but the money available, you make it work. And as I said, you squeeze the best out of the players. From a Liverpool perspective, I'll be honest with you, Bill, we feel a bit aggrieved after last night, after that horrendous kind of call to disallow that 3rd goal, which doesn't mean much in terms of group in the Europa League or will we qualify. We still believe that we'll finish top and qualify. But to have the goal given twice and then it be disallowed, not only goes against what the rules actually state, which are, if there is an accidental handball and it hits the chest and then an arm, then it can't be given as a disallowed goal. So, we're super kind of frustrated about last night. Obviously, we drew our last game in the Prem as well. But as Klopp said, this is Anfield. I think we've got a decent record against Brentford when you've been up the last 2 times. I remember being at the game in 2022. I think it was a slim 2-1 victory, but it's a very difficult team, and that was with Tony in, but you found a way somehow without him to still score, to still win, to still beat the big teams. So in terms of a Liverpool perspective, I agree with Trudon. This will be a tough game. Absolutely. West Coast Kop says we want a win and a solid performance after Luton and Toulouse. And don't forget, after this game, it is another international break. So it's about finishing that off in the best way, going into the Man City game, which is actually on the 25th, the first game back, another 12:30 kickoff. But I wanted to ask you your thoughts on Liverpool so far this season, in terms of, the danger men, the consistency, which maybe has been lacking sometimes. But what do you kind of make of Liverpool's start to this season?
Again, I think you've had a decent start to the season. I think if anything, people are probably quite surprised by Tottenham's start to the season. So them sort of kind of being up there has kind of stopped you from probably maybe being in another position. But I think, it's got to be solid. I mean, I've got a lot of Liverpool friends, and they talk about the whole idea that, you got to be picking up 3 points every week, 3 points every week, 3 points every week. And then you might drop a point here or there. But, they perceive the fact that, maybe Luton was 2 points dropped because you maybe should have thought that you should have picked up points against them. Whereas we've got a slightly different mentality to that, where we're kind of like, pick up the points where you can and just keep ploughing away as such. And then all of a sudden you might get some surprise 3 points here and there. So coming back to Liverpool, I actually think you've had a decent start to the season, because you've shown what you're about. You've got rid of a lot of your older players. Older players. You brought in a load of newer players, a load of younger players. Excuse me, and it's. I wouldn't say last season was a tester season for you. It's a change season for you. Maybe it's a transitional season for you. And now you're in the new season and you're doing okay. It's very, alien for me, again, as a Brentford fan. We don't see ourselves necessarily always being top of the league. Whereas I think maybe Liverpool see themselves as trying to aim for that the whole time. For me, I just think you've got to kind of just stay in the game, be in the game, play the results, play the decent football, pick up the points. Because at the end of the day, there's going to results that are going to go horribly for yourself. They're going to go horribly for Man City. They're going to go horribly for Tottenham. They're going to, Sheffield United might come and beat Man City. But you never know. Just things like that. Yeah. So you've just got to stay in the game. So for me, I think Liverpool have done all right so far this season. Talking about players and players you've got there. I mean, it's interesting because we've got a little bit of a goalkeeper issue. David Raya, who we love, has gone to Arsenal. Okay, and it's not on loan. I'm telling you this for now. I could tell you this for now. It's not on loan. It was a bit of a deal to sort them out with a bit of FFP. And I don't know if they're going to do us a favour back in, in the future at some stage for sorting them out, because they've obviously spent quite a lot of money recently, spending over £100 million on certain players and stuff like that. So we sorted them out with an FFP thing. We sort of did an initial loan and we're going to sell it to them, but he's gone. He's gone. David Rea has gone to them. Like, you know what I'm saying? So we brought a couple of goalkeepers in, Flecken, and he's been a little bit shaky, it has to be said, so it's interesting. I look at Alisson and I think honestly he's a great keeper, and people turn around and say, oh, but he's only a goalkeeper. But listen, if you've got a solid base, if you've got a sweeper keeper, if you've got somebody who's good with their feet, can actually pass the ball out and get the ball to your players, trust me, that's almost like having another midfielder in your side. And I think that he is so key to the way that you play. Is such a great player. It's very easy for me to just go in and say Mo Salah, because everyone talks about Mo Salah. So I'm probably actually not going to talk about Mo Salah, because everyone talks about him. He is a great player. Last season, maybe, again, everyone has their little dips and ins and outs, what I'm saying? But having someone in that side is amazing. And again, you could see for us, we miss Ivan Toney massively. When he's not there, we have to change the style of play. And I know you've got players coming off the bench, but if Mo Salah isn't playing as you expect him to, or he's not, things are very, very different for Liverpool as a team, because you do very much rely on him. So, so you're looking at that. Diaz, great player. Nunez, great player. I mean, I can go for McAllister. He had a great World Cup. He's probably still working his way into the Liverpool side to try and get himself to certain levels, because there's obviously a lot of hype, with players like him. But again, great players. And then in defence, obviously, Van Dijk, you've got Matip, Alexander Arnold. Some people are like, I'm not sure about him. I think he's a great player. Alexander Arnold and Robertson is one of those. He's as proper, reliable, just does what he does on the tin. We've got a left back problem at the moment now with Rico Henry, and it's almost like if Robertson was available on a loan for the season, we'd take him off you and put him into our side. So listen, Liverpool have got some great players there, so you could do damage, and so you just need to just stay in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Robertson probably out for another 2 months. Tsimikas didn't have the best game last night. We ended up with Joe Gomez at left back, so interested to see how Klopp plays that one. McAllister banned for this game after picking up 5 yellow cards. He should be back for the City game. But I'm going to try and give you now a predicted lineup, and we'll see how close it is nearer the time. But as you mentioned, Alisson in goal. Trent will play it right back. I would go personally with Konate and Van Dijk. And then I would still go with Tsimikas at left back. In the midfield, as I just mentioned, a few quotes there from Klopp's press conference this morning. He's basically said that Wataru Endo probably will start the game. He said Wataru was, for us, all the time very important. That, again, is another part of football. You line up with an 11, they play well, and then you think the others don't do well. That's not true. Wataru makes steps every day, and that's important. He's basically bigging him up, essentially, for a bit of a confidence booster going into this one. So I'll go with Endo at the base in that number 6 position. Didn't have the worst game last night. Didn't have the best game. And then it's a toss-up, really, but Szoboszlai's a shoe-in. I think he's been our best signing so far this season. I'm loving him. But then it's a Harvey Elliott / Curtis Jones situation, because as we know, Bajcetic still out, Thiago still out. I mean, the longer that them two stay out, you kind of even forget that they're even in the squad. But yeah, let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? Liverpool fans, would you be more comfortable with Harvey Elliott, or would you want a Curtis Jones in that third midfield position? And then up top, we used Diogo Jota in the social picture for the game on Sunday this morning on Twitter. It was a picture of Jota. So I don't know, should you read into that? Should you think maybe Jota starts? But with the great, amazing, fantastic news about Luis Diaz's dad last night, it seems that his kind of mental health has massively improved. He started the game excellently last night, was really at it. So I wouldn't be against starting him. But with Jota scoring a really clever goal last night, do you maybe go with him through the middle over Nunez, who wasn't as prolific in the last couple of weeks? And then obviously it is Mo Salah, as it always is. So again, Liverpool fans in the comments, are you a Jota or are you a Nunez preferred for this game? Let me know in the comments. But that's how I'm going to line up for Liverpool on Sunday. And again, this game isn't on TV. which, I mean, I can't speak for
Not,
Brentford, but for
not in
me
the UK.
personally, not in the UK, but I can't speak for Brentford, but the lack of Liverpool games, Premier League games on TV right now is startling. When you look at Newcastle, they've played 6 times, Saturday 5:30 on TV every week. Again, they're doing that on this weekend.
Do you want to be? Do you want to be on TV though? That's a question.
100%. Why
So
wouldn't I?
We don't want to be on TV. We love being 3:00 kickoffs. Let us go there
Yeah,
to
but
3
we never
o'clock.
get them. We never get. I'd prefer that because it's just how it should be in football in this country. But the powers that be have ruined it for everyone involved, for the match going fan like me and yourself, to get to a point now where they are forcing us to go down a different road to watch the games. But there's other 2 o'clock games on Sunday. I think Aston Villa Forest are on TV instead of Liverpool Brentford. So I can't really understand it, to be honest. But there you go. It is what it is. I'm gutted that we're not on TV again, but it is what it is. That's my team, by the way. West Coast Kop says Curtis Jones has been massive for us. Start him Sunday. Jota starts. Darwin impact sub. Jones and Gravenberch were apparently, it's Aston Villa Fulham, the 2 o'clock kickoff that is televised on Sunday, I should say. Curtis Jones and Gravenberch actually missed out the Toulouse trip, but there's always a part of me that thinks, well, if they have been missed out there, then Klopp's maybe getting them ready for Sunday. You know how the old tactics go sometimes when you say a player's injured and then he starts. Yes. So yeah, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, I'm easy with either. Front, I think he's probably the most informed one, so I go with him. For Brentford, talk to me about injuries, suspensions. How full or how strong can this team be?
Injuries. I'm have to drag up a list. Actually, I'm going to get the scroll out. Actually, when it comes to injuries, God, blimey, we've got a little bit of a problem actually with regards to that. But we're not going to make that an excuse for not doing the business, because at the end of the day, you've just got to pull a squad together, and I think that's what we've been really good in doing. In like players who are our second string players as such, our squad players have come in and they've done the business when we've got a lot of injuries. So, do I count Ivan Toney as an injury? He's an injury as such, like, you know what I'm saying, because he's out till January because for various reasons to do with various things that we all know about. So Ivan Toney is out, which is a gutter, but we managed to be. But to be honest with you, it's almost like we knew Toney was going to be out, right? Because we found out about that over a year ago, last September, if I remember rightly. He'd flown to Italy and with England, and we thought he was going to actually start for England over in Italy. And then the news broke, and then he didn't start for England, and they didn't put them in the World Cup and all that kind of stuff. But he actually never got banned until I think it was 2 games before the end of the season. So we had a long time to prepare for Ivan Toney not being there. So we made a couple of moves in the January window. We brought in Kevin Schade, again, on loan, but obviously we were going to buy him in the summer. You know, again, one of them scenarios there. We bought him and a few other bits and pieces, and we were quite comfortable with, I think, what we had. And we didn't, you know, we weren't going in to go and spend £40 million or something like that. We were happy with that. So, you know, the Ivan Toney being out was cool, but then the killer blow for us was Rico Henry. Rico Henry, who to me is, I reckon he's one of the top 3 best fullbacks in the country. I'm not quite sure why Gareth has never picked him. You know, I'll go and watch England all over the world, you know, the whole time. And, you know, I love the England team, but I'm sitting there thinking, not being funny, but this guy, I watch him week in and week out. He is brilliant, and he's rapid, and he is very instrumental to the way that we play. So, you know, so what we'll do is that we might put almost like 9 players up, you know, or 9 players up or 10 players up, you know, for a corner. Okay. And you sort of think, all right, what's going on here? What if the opposition breaks?
He'll stay back.
Yeah, the opposition breaks, but Rico Henry's like, boom, he's like Roadrunner, ding, and he'll get back immediately. So he's great, but also he's great on the attack. If we're on these fast break attacks as well, he actually helps to lead those. So us missing him has completely changed our game, because obviously, you know, if you haven't got a player as fast as him, who could, you know, especially at full back, you've got to change your game. So that's been 2 difficult things for us as well. Josh De Silva, who you probably remember, he only scores in good goals, is the song that we sing about him. He's been out for a while. You know, we've got Keane Lewis Potter, who we signed from Hull as well, who's just starting to come into his own. He's injured as well. We've got, we've got Aaron Hickey, who's our other fullback as well. He's got injured as well. He's out for the season as well. So we've got yeah, man. Yeah, I'm telling you, we've got players that have been out for long-term injuries. I think we have got 8. I think we had 8 players out on long-term injuries. You know, Baptiste is out on long-term injuries. Oh, it's been a nightmare. However, we've had to just bring other players in. So, and interesting as well. Talking about goalkeepers, Flecken. a goalkeeper that I said who was a little bit kind of like he'd made quite a few little mistakes here and there. So what's happened is that we play West Ham. He plays the first half of getting West Ham. We comes out second half. Stracosza, the substitute keeper, comes out in the second half. So Flecken apparently got injured during the game as well. So but Stracosza actually had a really good half actually. So he might actually come out against Liverpool. So talking about the lineups there. So I'm going to say Stracosza is going to be in goal, even though on the Besotted podcast, you'll check it out, Pride of West London. It's our podcast. Just check it out. It's live. We've got the Liverpool preview podcast there as well. Laney on there reckons there's some sort of conspiracy theory, and he reckons that Flecken's going to reappear again on Sunday. We will see. With the teams like Liverpool, and we like to do teams like Liverpool because people do a lot of teams like Brentford. We can't be beaten by teams like Brentford. You know what I'm saying? So, but teams like Liverpool, when we play teams like Liverpool, we normally go 3 at the back, stroke 5 at the back. So we're going to have to take our 3, which will probably be Pinnock, Collins, and I'd say probably Ben Mee, who used to play for Burnley, and he is an absolute hero. He's been out for ages, and it was really good to see him come back yesterday. Last week against West Ham, he came on with about for 10 or 15 minutes to go. As soon as he came on, I think the first thing is he blocked a ball, then another one, he probably got the ball in his face or something like that. He just cleared 3 clearances within the first couple of minutes. And the whole crowd, every time he gets the ball, you'll hear them go, "Me!" And it was a really powerful "me" as well. So it was great. So, so getting Ben Mee back as well, I reckon that he's probably going to play in the 3-me. As well, and then on the fullbacks, obviously you see our fullbacks are out at the moment now, so I'm scrubbing my head as to who's going to play there. Probably Aya, who's normally a centre back. We might put him out onto the right, and we put maybe Janelt over on the left, who's actually one of these sort of old school utility players that we got from Germany. He cost us about 50p from Germany actually, and he's been absolutely magnificent as well. In the middle, Christian Norgard, what a player! Just what a player! He's an absolutely brilliant player. Goes under the radar. Hope he'll continue to go under the radar. But if he plays well, Brentford play well. So obviously we've got him and then probably Jensen, Norgard and Jensen somewhere in there as well. And then maybe and then we've got Norgard, Jensen, and then because we're going 5-2 or 5-2-3, and then we'll probably go up front. It was Neil Maupay. So Neil Maupay is back. I know he was over across the road with your
not a fan, mate. Not a fan at all.
Well, listen, the thing about Neil Maupay is the opposition fans hate him, but normally the team that you play for love him. So the fact that Everton fans didn't like him and then Brighton fans like us or whatever, it's like, you don't understand Maupay. What you have to do is that you have to take him in and make him feel at home and let him do all the stuff that he does to wind up other people.
I know Ty's not a fan of his. As well.
Yeah, but he absolutely bleeds red and white, and we let him go. Because he actually was, Brighton actually came in for him when we signed him, when we were in the Championship, and they were in the Premier League at the time, and he came to us and he stayed with us for a couple of seasons. We didn't go up, and in the end, we decided to let him go to Brighton when they came back in for him again. So that's why he went there. And then after the Brighton thing, he went to, I've got no idea why he went to Everton, to be quite honest with you. I really don't know why he went there, because there's no love for him whatsoever. But you have to love the Maupay, and he is brilliant. And if you look back at the video for the West Ham game, and look at how excited he is when he scores, when he misses at the end of the game. He absolutely, honestly, bleeds red and white, and we absolutely love Neil Maupay. So we'll see, what he'll do against Liverpool. So we got him. Obviously, Brian Mbeumo has been brilliant this season. So since Tony's gone, he's stepped up 2 or 3 or 4 levels. I've always said that he's going to be the player that is going to, cause people a lot of problems. From when we came in the Premier League, every single person who does fantasy league said to me, "What Brentford player should I put in?" Ivan Toney. I said, "No, put in Brian Mbeumo if you want to. If you want to get sort of goals and assists, get Brian Mbeumo in." So he's a great player. And then, like I said to you, probably Johan Wieser as well. Who causes problems here and there. Yes, and he's
they both scored against Liverpool last season, didn't they?
I think so. Sure. Yeah. Wieser loves a goal against certain opposition. Your West Ham's, your Liverpool's, he's a good player. But it's interesting because Wieser also is like, you look at him, you sort of think, but isn't he sort of a bit of a super sub? You know what I'm saying? He's like, one of those players where you think he can be a bit of a super sub, where he comes on and causes you damage in the last 20 minutes. However, with Ivan Toney being out, he's had much more time to try and prove himself, and I think he's done well. He's done very well. So that's just giving you a little vibe as to kind of who I think is going to be in the Bees team. Like I said, you could see there's a lot of names missing there if you know anything about the Brentford side. But like I said, the nice thing about that is that they gel together. There's one other player as well, Mads Ruslev, who may come in at fullback. And the reason why I say that is that they always seem to bring him in for the big games. He actually came from our B team. So we actually scrapped our academy when we were in the Championship because basically all the big clubs were nicking our players, and our owner got really peed off because we're like, what's the point of developing someone for 6 years? And then just about when you're going to sign him, he goes, oh, now I'm off to Man United or I'm off to Man City. He's like, cheers. So we got rid of the academy, set up a B team, which meant that all the players signed to that B team were 17 years or older. So they actually signed to proper contracts. And we, in effect, just went all around Europe and around the world, just picking people from academies that they kind of just discarded as such. And it's worked really well for us. And Mads Roslev came from Denmark, as a lot of players have done. And he's come out of the B team set up and he's become sort of a bit of a regular in the first team. And we seem to sort of shoo him in for big games. So you never know. He might actually pop his head in for the Liverpool match.
Who knows? We'll find out 1 o'clock on Sunday when the teams are announced. I'm looking at Brentford's season so far, and there's some really, really impressive results. I mean, you look at the obviously there was a bit of a draw at the start to Tottenham, which again is a great result. Beating Fulham away 3-0. Should have won. I remember watching it. Fulham away 3-0, 1-0 at home to Palace. You beat Newport in the Cup, 2-2 at home to Bournemouth. Probably should have won that game. Losing 1-0 away at Newcastle is definitely nothing to be ashamed about. The 3-1 defeat at home to Everton was one that really shocked me. Knowing that a month or two ago how bad Everton were. Loss at home to Arsenal in the Cup, again, not a disgrace.
But what I'm going to say, I don't want to stop you there, but the Everton scenario, okay, and the thing is that, and I know that they're your local rivals, okay, and they've been shocking for like quite a few years, and they've just put different managers in and players in, and they've just been shocking, right? But I have to admit, I mean, when we played Forest, after the Forest game, Nottingham Forest game away, I was in the bar drinking with my Forest mates, sort of quite late at night, and who's sitting inside the bar was Sean Dyche, right? Because Sean Dyche, and he'd been to the Brentford game, right? And basically, he lives in Nottingham, and he lives above the bar that we were drinking in, right by the river. Yeah, right by the river. So we're sitting down there having a drink with him, and I had to, because like I said, I'll do the respect thing. So I went up to him and I said, "Right, Sean." He goes, "Yeah, how are you doing?" I said, "Mate, you did us like a kipper last week." And he went to me. He goes to me, "You mean you were you were." And because I don't know if I can swear on this actually. No, you were shite and we were good. You know what I'm saying? And I said to him, yeah, fair play. He goes to me. I said to him, but the thing is, right, you did that to us. But to be fair, I remember we played you at Burnley 2 years ago, right? We came to Burnley. It was our first season. Burnley I think they'd lost every single game that season. So we bowled up at Burnley. Last weekend in October, I remember it was wet and horrible and nasty. And we turned up at Burnley and I said, literally, you turned us over. You were 3-0 up, I think, within half an hour. And I said, but you weren't playing, dice ball, as they call it. You were playing good football. And I think Chris Wood scored. And honestly, I said, you were brilliant. And we just put our hands up because, look, your football fans have said, actually, Burnley, they were really good. And everyone's giving them grief. I said, it seems that you seem to know how to do Brentford, because I said, did you know you have played Brentford 7 times? I said, do you know how many times you've beaten us? And he goes, I've got no idea. I said, you've beaten us 6 times. We've only ever beaten you once, in your Burnley and your Everton. And I think there's something about, certain managers that seem to kind of know, but I think he's actually he started to turn Everton around. So I don't think you can't disrespect him. So that result, I've got to say, we park that one and we move on.
Well, he's a big Liverpool fan as well, so I respect that. He was pictured in Madrid drinking with all Liverpool fans, so I don't know if Everton fans would like to hear that. Forest 1-1, as I said. You lost away at United 2-1, very slim loss there. Big win at home to Burnley.
We were away at Chelsea in 90+2 in that Man United game. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah, and they scored 2 goals, and they literally threw the kitchen sink at us in extra time, and they got the goals. And it was one of those ones where it may not have happened. So,
No, I remember, because I do the Saturday football show on DR Sports, and I remember that game. McTominay came up with the goods, and it was a really, harsh way to lose that. But then, of course, the big 2-0 win away at Chelsea, the massive win at home to West Ham last week. That's 3 big wins in a row for you. So, listen, if there's any Liverpool fans watching this that feel like this is, a fairly routine victory, I guarantee you it's not. And we will be shocked if we turn up with that mentality of maybe expecting a win, when actually out of the two teams, Brentford are way more on form than we are right now. So I just want to kind of make sure that Liverpool fans respect the team that are coming to Anfield on Sunday. Will you be there on Sunday?
Of course, yeah. I normally do it overnight. I love coming to Liverpool. Great city, great people, football. Everything about Liverpool, I think, is wicked. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking for. Obviously, like I said, we want to get the points, but that doesn't really matter. I've got some loads of Liverpool.
Where are you going out then?
Hey.
So I live in Liverpool. I'm in Liverpool now. Where are you heading on Saturday night?
Well, this is for the very first time. I'm not coming up on a Saturday. Okay. Coming straight up on a Sunday, going straight in. Probably going to go into the Vines, I think, as people say. This is a new bar that's actually opened up. So we'll go inside there, have a few drinks before there, and then after the game, I'll go and meet my Liverpool chums around the stadium and have a bit of a laugh. But like I said, really, really looking forward to it. Again, with Brentford, we've got this phrase episode we say kick football out of football, because football normally ruins the day out, so to make sure that you kind of have good fun beforehand, good fun afterwards, and then the football, whatever. But the nice thing about the Premier League for us so far is that the football in general hasn't been ruining the day out. So we actually want to kick football into football at the moment, So
well, if you're outside the stadium after the game, we do our fan cams by the Park pub, which is just outside the Kop. You can't miss it. So if you fancy a little stroll down there, I'm sure our guys would be more than happy to give you, a nice spot on the fan cams, and you can talk however you want to talk. We're a very respectful fan base when it comes to allowing the opposition to have their say, and like you said, we have a drink after, we shake hands and wish each other the best for the rest of the season.
And that's it. Cool. And the same thing with us and Pride of West London. We do a post-match podcast. We record it straight away. It's up maybe about an hour and a half after the game, straight away, with the home and away fans' points of view. So we'll have that up there as well. So it's quite good as well to hear people's views straight after the game, actually. So it's very different than when you hear it on the day afterwards, when they're a little bit more measured.
You've got to get that raw straight away. Let's talk about the score prediction for this game. As I mentioned, the lineup prediction, missing a few key players, as are Brentford, in all fairness, but they've won 3 in a row. Liverpool have drawn 1 and lost 1 in our last 2 games in all comps, so a big turnaround needed. Let's get into a score prediction, Bill. I'm assuming you're fairly confident for this one.
No, this is the thing. I'm not, because you're sort of saying confidence. There's a difference between confidence and just enjoying your team and having a bit of a laugh. On the Besotted Pride of West London podcast, Pride of West London this week, there's me, Laney, there's Ali Mullally, there's Sherlock Holmes as well. And we were sitting there chatting amongst ourselves. And I have to admit, even though we've gone 3 games in a win, 3 games win, which is great for us, because before that, there's quite a lot of people who are a little bit nervous about our form, because we hadn't won for 2.5 months other than the Fulham game. But I'm saying, we picked up points here and there, so don't worry about it. We're playing good football. But a lot of fans were really nervous. Then we had the 3-match win, and everyone's really happy. But I think now after that, they're going, the good thing is, we're going in this game and we've got no expectations. We don't have to worry. If we lose, we lose. It doesn't really matter. There's no fear. However, if we do, but actually something may happen. Now, everyone on that podcast was a bit doom and gloom. No one predicted a win for Brentford, except for me, actually. Ooh. I know. I was the only one that went for a 1-0 win. And I'm
1-0.
And I did, and I'm not suing it because I'm being disrespectful to Liverpool, but I don't know. I think I had a glass of wine actually at the time. I was feeling very happy, like you're saying. So I went for a 1-0 win, where they went for, I think, 2-0 loss, 2-1 loss. There was a 1-1 draw in there as well, and stuff like that. But they were feeling a little bit like Liverpool are a good side and they're going to do us. And I know you're a good side. You've got some great players. You play some great football. And the other thing is that you also have to win this game. Not have to, but there's a pressure on you to win this game. And I think maybe with us having no pressure, to just go into this one and just going, whatever, it may actually swing in our favour. So I've just gone for a little bit of a red wine tinged 1-0 to the mighty V's.
Listen, we love to see it, mate. Listen, 1-0 to Brentford. That's what Billy's gone for. Let me know what your score predictions are in the chat right now. I'm going to go, the title says it is an absolute must win. There is no way we can drop points in this game, considering, the 2 points dropped against Luton. So unfortunately for yourself, Bill, I'm going to go for a Liverpool win. I think maybe a 3-1 in terms of maybe you score first, but then you kind of prod the sleeping lion a little bit. The players on our team know they have to win this game. So there's no backing down from challenges. There's no not getting back and marking your man, because we know how physical Brentford can be. The height of your team as well is definitely something to consider in terms of corners. I know Aya Played at Anfield a couple of years ago. I was second row in the Kop. I was looking up thinking, Jesus, he's massive. So we're going to have to be awake. But I do think this is maybe well, I'm hoping it is. This is maybe a wake-up call for Liverpool, and we come away with a win. As I said, 3-1, 3-0, 1-0, 2-1. I'll take anything because they've been really slim wins at Anfield. I think it was a 2-1 and a 1-0 so far since you've come up to Liverpool. So yeah, I'm expecting quality on the pitch and off it from Thomas Frank on Sunday. But at the same time, it's Anfield. We have to win. We've still got some big hitters on the pitch, and we're going to have to react. This is a real react performance, in my opinion. This is get a win, get to the international break, no injuries, and then go really big against Man City. So yeah, I'm going to go with 3-1 to Liverpool.
3-1. And tell you something, let me just tell you one little last story before we follow her as well. It's interesting. There's one player that I haven't mentioned, actually, but we're very proud as Brentford fans because we've actually kind of got a player that's won something in the league, in Premier League, before the season's ever ended. We got the goal of the month. The Premier League goal of the month was Saman Ghoddos, okay? Who scored a brilliant goal against, I think it was against Burnley. I think it was a few weeks ago when he came on as a sub. Now, Saman Ghoddos is a funny story because we were meant to sign him like a couple of years ago, a few years ago when we were in the Championship, and we kind of didn't do basically we tried to do the deal with him, but he had, let's just say, he was surrounded by characters, right? Come from where he came from. Like, his team was proper like characters. So the deal never quite happened because these characters around him. The following year he came to us and the characters are gone. So we did the deal and he came in. Now, when he came in, he probably wasn't quite the player that we thought. So he basically saw his team through, and he went through his period. Then we got to the Premier League and he was with us. But he's always one of those players that kind of we brought him on here or there. But he was kind of one of those players that didn't quite fulfill his potential. Anyway, end of the season, we said, thank you very much, Saman. He left as a free transfer. He went and he's a free agent. So he went off to wherever, try and find a club. Couldn't find a club. Anyway, we ended up sort of struggling. Didn't sort of sign maybe a few players that we should have done. I think we got a couple of injuries. We called him up at the end of the window. Goes, Saman, are you free? He goes, yeah. So we signed our player that we just released back on a free, as a free agent, signed him back in. And then he comes in and scores the goal of the season against Burnley. So there you go. These are the kind of deals that we do at Brentford. Who needs money to buy players, eh?
Only fools and horses. We love it, mate.
That's right.
Just jump into the comments before we wrap it up. Enrique Delgado says, if it is Van Dijk and Konate, I'll go with a 3-1. But You Never Walk Alone family says, is it bad that I really think Brentford will win? I don't think we can win on Sunday without Maka. And if you actually look at Maka's stats as a number 6, they're not as bad as what people think. He actually wins the ball more than Rodri at this stage right now in the season. But obviously he's not going to be around. So it's Endo. How does he fit in? What's his first 25 minutes like? Is his confidence going to be up? I think Liverpool need to score in the first half an hour just to settle a few nerves. And, if it gets to maybe 2 or 3, then maybe expect a bit of a long afternoon. But Brentford aren't like that. The Brentford don't do that. They're not a team that concede 3-4 away. They're really tight and compact. They keep themselves well within the game. So
unless you're Aston Villa or Newcastle last season where you did 4 or 5 there.
Yeah, exactly. But that doesn't happen every week. Liverpool 2-1 Brentford. It will be tight, I reckon. Gerson says Klopp's tactics and game plan has been exposed and doesn't change the system and plays more attacking football. He will face something unpleasant. Our match is an absolute must-win, says Syed. And one more question for you, Bill. Big up, Alex. Does the Brentford fan reckon Tony leaves in the summer or in January? I'll add another option on, or just stays.
That's true, actually. A very good question. And I was actually asked that as well by another one of your blogs, which I wrote for today, which should be up. I think this is Anfield as well. So I wrote for that today. Okay. It should be up a little bit later. And also Neil from the Anfield Rap. I know they're a rival to you as well. But you're a family together. You're a family together as well. So I had a good chat. I'm on the Anfield Rap later on this evening. So I have a little chat to that as well. And he's on our podcast, like I said, Pride of West London. And everyone's asking about the Ivan Toney thing. Now, the thing is, right, obviously he's back just before the window shuts in January. With Brentford fans, it's really weird, but we're so used to our players leaving now. We're so used to our players leaving. When the owner first took over and he found all these players for his whole stat system, and then we had like Andre Gray, and Andre Gray's great. Then the end of that season, we were going to sell him. We were like, it's like the pitchfork's out. No, you can't do that. We can't sell our player. And all the fans were like up in arms. And the owner was just like, don't worry about it. We'll find someone else better. And we're like, no, you can't ever do that. Then they did. They found someone else better. And then we had sort of Scott Hogan, who scored about 100 goals in about 3 games. And then we sold him. And everyone's like, oh, pitchforks out again. No, you can't do that. And it just kept on happening. So eventually, after like the 6th player that they just found, but I think by the time we got to Ollie Watkins or something like that, we were like, okay, we kind of get it now. So yeah, we're really relaxed about our players leaving because we sort of trust the fact they'll find someone else. So Ivan Toney, every single Brentford fan is resigned to him leaving. It's a matter of when is he going to leave. He's due back in the January window. We've got a couple of players out. I think, Wisa and Mbuma are going to be out for the African nations. So Brentford may turn around to him and say, actually, Ivan, you're going to stay with us till the summer because we haven't had you for the past 8 months. I need you. And you're on a long contract. And, at the end of the day, your price ain't going down. It's going to be going up. So that's fine. So Brentford holds the cards on that one. However, I will say if somebody came in and offered 100 million, I think our director of football will run up and drive him up the motorway and take him to wherever it's going to be, whether or not it's Liverpool or whether or not it's Chelsea, hopefully not Chelsea, or whether or not it's Manchester United, or wherever it may be. I seriously think that would happen if that offer would be that much. And the thing about it is that the irony is that 1 minute it was 60 million and he's not even played. The next minute he was 100 million. His price is going up and he's not playing. So maybe he shouldn't play for the next year. He'd be like 300 million pounds. Like it was over that kicking the ball.
I heard his infamous now interview with Stephen Bartlett on the Diary of the CEO podcast. And he said he grew up as a Liverpool fan. And then he said he really likes Arsenal. So he's doing what he needs to do. I'm sure his agent has said, listen, put yourself about there, see what comes around. But I wouldn't be surprised if he stays at least until the summer. I think the way you've stuck by him and the way your fans have really got behind him and supported him, the manager has been super praiseful of him. I would almost say, and you might say I'm wrong, but I would almost say he owes you until the summer.
100%.
In the way that how great you've been as a club. So listen, would I have him at Liverpool? Yes. Do I think he's going to get in the team above Jota and Núñez? Maybe not. But then could I see him at an Arsenal? 100%. I think they're crying out for someone like a Toney to go and get 15 to 20 goals for them a season. So he's a great player and I'd love to see him at Liverpool, but it is what it is. You Never Walk Alone family says, I have so much respect for Brentford. How they keep going without Toney is so impressive. And T-Boys TV has dropped your channel there to say subscribe to Billy's channel. I've actually tagged it in the title for this video as well. Billy, what a pleasure it's been, mate. What a footballing man. Love to hear your footballing opinions. Thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thanks very much for inviting me. Like I said to you, check us out. We're audio podcasts, so check it out on all good podcast channels, your Spotify's, your Apple Podcasts and everything like that. That's where we do it. And our podcast drops literally straight after the final whistle, maybe about an hour after the final whistle. It'll be up there with your Liverpool fans' voices and us Brentford fans' voices, just shooting the breeze.
Love to see it, mate. We love it. Please, AGT, hope that we win. We need this. We must win the league, says Kid Thrills. Shout out to my man Frank Carlisle. Jones, if fit, play him. Jota is a must start because he's the only player with ideas after he came on last night. And T-Boy says, I agree with AGT. He has also said some bizarre comments about Brentford, even though he's playing for them as well. I forgot about them. I do remember them as well. But listen, I'm going for a slim Liverpool win. Billy is going for a slim Brentford win. Who will be the right man come 4 o'clock on Sunday? Let us know in the comments.
But what I'll say just briefly as well, I do the articles in the Observer where you have to predict the season, everything like that. And I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the season, actually, I predicted that Liverpool were going to win the league. So, and I'm not doing that to curry favour. I'm just saying that for me, Man City, I'm like, nah. So I think I've done that. So there you go.
Appreciate it. And just quickly, where do you think Brentford finish in the Prem this season?
That's a difficult one, actually, because they're I think, again, in that same article, I put we finished 9th for last season. So I think I put either 10th or 8th. No, not 8th. I didn't put 8th. I think I'm at 10th or 11th. So let me stick with 11th, actually, this season.
Currently 9th right now. So you're above where you've expected your team to finish up. But listen, guys, thanks so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure, as it always is. Make sure you do yourself a favour and us a favour by smashing that like button. Comment with your thoughts on how you think this game is going to go on Sunday. Of course, Mario will be outside Anfield with all of your fan cams straight after full time as well. So really looking forward to this one. As I said, go and subscribe to Billy the Bee. He's doing a lot more Liverpool content today. So if you want to go and check that out, you can. Billy, we'll see you next time, mate. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
Please, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Kop TV.
The voice of